Well, hello again, everyone. This is Bob Martin, the one and only RCSubGuy with the Nautilus Dry Docks. And if you're viewing this video right now, then you may be interested in the hobby of RC submarines. If so, thank you for joining me. This video basically is going to show you what goes on this week. All of my successes and failures and challenges and opportunities. Without any further delay, I guess we should probably get this week started.
Hey everyone, this is Logan and
The RCSubGuy.
And we are on the very bumpy highway out because I have a summer job. So I'm gonna be out until probably early August helping at a summer camp. And just wanted to I wanted to record a quick little goodbye, because I'm not going to be around for the next about 3 months to help, so thought I'd give my final bit of appreciation to everyone for helping the business go, helping us grow and thrive, and that I'm going to head out for a bit, but I'll be back.
So Logan's been dropped off. He is on his way to Florida, and I am on my way to drop off a product package for a customer here in Texas. He got some 3D printing that I knocked out for him, and after that we're gonna run to storage, pick up a bunch of stuff that you guys ordered while I was away. Kind of bittersweet feelings about Logan going away. He's a huge help in the shop, and we're gonna miss him. But now Renee and I are back to like empty nesting. We got the house to ourselves again, which is kind of a cool thing. So double-edged sword. Like I said, certainly gonna miss him, and the shop is gonna miss him. Hopefully Jason will be willing to step up and come out and give us a hand for a little bit while Logan is away. I'll probably talk to him today, see how things are going. But yeah, we're gonna drop off this part, head to storage, get back, and then assess the damage from being away for 2 weeks. So if you do follow me, and if you're subscribed to my newsletter from my website at nautilusdrydocks.com, you'll know that I've just been away for like 2 weeks in Greece for my 25th wedding anniversary. 25 years that Renee has put up with me. Thank goodness for her. But back now, Logan's gone. I'm on my own. Now we got to catch up from 2 weeks worth of backed up orders and things they didn't manage to do before we got shipped out, or before I shipped out for Greece last week. It's going to be busy. Today's going to be a lot of checking on orders, packing up boxes, doing up way bills, and all of that fun stuff. So that's not super exciting for you guys. Probably not going to see video footage of that. But when we do dig into projects like this typhoon, obviously we'll be sharing that all with you. So I am going to try and keep cool. It's supposed to be another hot one here today in Texas, like high 90s and super high humidity. It's supposed to be thunderstorms this afternoon. It's like Florida weather. I am going to get to work and get this day started. So it's awfully dark. It is 12:45 p.m. And this is how dark it is. This is like dusk. I'm getting severe thunderstorm warnings all over my email and my phone pop-ups. So, yeah, looks like we're in for a bit of a blow. I don't know if Jason's still coming over or not. I'll have to text him. He's supposed to be leaving here in about 15 minutes. But if it's going to be storming like this, then maybe not a good idea. On the flip side, let's take a look at the Type 23 and the bucks that we got built for it. So this is, as you've seen me use before, a hard-sided rifle case. I had this in stock from a previous project, and it just happens to perfectly fit the 23. So I did a double layer of foam in there. It's going to be super cushioned. There's nothing that could go wrong there. Although, having said that, UPS is going to do their darndest, I'm sure. But regardless, cylinder always gets packed separate from the boat. So that's got a little separate little area over here. And this really can't go anywhere, especially with the lid down on there. And they got the periscopes. And I guess we can throw in stand too. There you go. Should be everything. We're going to get this packed up and shipped off. His radio is going to have to ship separately. I mean, I suppose technically there's room here, but it's a nice radio, so I'm just going to ship it in the actual box there. So make sure nothing happens to it. Well, the storm has kind of hit. It's not as black out there as it was before, but it's raining, and the neighbor's getting some trees done. There's nothing like holding a gigantic metal pole in the middle of a lightning storm. Not the brightest light bulbs in the cabinet, but hey, make for an interesting video if I could catch it right now. So Jason came and went. He dropped off an easy driver for one of the customers. You can always tell that he brings them over as soon as they're done because they're still wet from being tested in the test tank, which is kind of cool. So that's going to get shipped out tomorrow. I got to print a battery tray for that because he ran out of battery trays. So I am going to round out the day with checking out a watertight cylinder that customer sent. I love it when I get handwritten notes and in beautiful cursive. You can always tell the demographic of my customers based on the correspondence that they send. So he said during submerged testing for trim, it flooded. We dried it out and it died. So let's see what it is that we've got to work with here. You guys will see at the same time I do what happened to this thing. As a general rule, and I've talked about this before, what you really need to do immediately is open up the cylinder and dry it out. A little water in the ballast tank. All right. Well, upon immediate inspection, it doesn't look like it's too bad. All right. We set up the remote switch in here for this particular gentleman. Take these. Oh man, everything is really wet. There's water. This is all really wet. I don't know. All right. Got a random neural nut off here. Servo's been taken off. Let's take a closer look at it. Okay. All of the servos have been disconnected, which I don't know why you typically look at doing that. There's some water drops, dried up water drops on the inside. Well, I guess, all we can do is, wait, he said I put a remote switch in here. Am I just not seeing it? What's going on here? Oh, there it is. There it is. Remote switch. If these get wet, they really don't like you. These are really prone to failure if you dunk them. Dead reliable if you don't. But yeah, if you dunk them, they're pretty well guaranteed to be toast. And I don't see a remote switch anywhere. Just gonna make it a little awkward to turn on. But let me see. I think that might be his radio over there. Logan took off, and we didn't have a chance to talk before he left and find out what happened. Got all sorts of boxes in. They're all taken apart. There's stuff all over the place. I don't know who they're for. This was just sitting on the table over there with no labels because he said he had to steal the box to ship something else out. So I think maybe that's the radio for this cylinder. Hopefully the remote switch is in here. Let's cross our fingers. Polk Tracker 3 with the remote fobs. Now, I did not do this. It was like that when I got it. Just let you know, it wasn't me. So, we're going to have to throw some power on this. hit the switch, see what happens. I'm assuming nothing's going to happen. Probably have to swap the switch out, test all functions. Maybe tomorrow. I'm in a car wash. It's Wednesday morning, and I just finished dropping off a Rush 3D printing project that cropped up yesterday for that company that was going to a trade show leaving tomorrow. So it was this big emergency rush job that I had to do last night. Turned out really cool though. While I was driving around though, got a phone call from a customer who just wanted to like point out an upcoming auction for that big 17-foot sea view from the original Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea series. And I just love how like my customers look out for me. You guys are absolutely awesome. They just wanted to make sure I didn't miss out on it. So big shout out to you guys. I really appreciate you. Big shout out to this guy at the car wash too. He's like looking out for me. It's boiling hot here in Texas, and he's like wiping my car down. There was a bunch of bugs on the front, and he's like, was no good. You go back through again. You tell them to scrub it off. And like, my man's looking out for me. That's awesome. All right, it's like 10 o'clock, and back from running all the errands and finishing up the last of the waybills and everything. I want to show you what I've been working on for the last day and 3-4 hours. Yeah, that's all of it. And it's not like I'm just slapping waybills on, you know, each one of these needs to be individually packed. Oh, man. But basically at the point where I can actually sit down and start working again, starting with that cylinder. All right, so like I said, let's try and figure this out. Couple of interesting things. He put hose clamps on all of the hoses in the back. I don't know if you can see those there, but you know, like standard hose clamps. Usually they're just kind of press fit. What that means, you know, for good or for bad, is it'll only come apart from the front bulkhead. So maybe that's not such a bad thing. All right, it's not such a bad thing. Power comes in at the front through this waterproof connection, through here into fused. Fuse is fine. Looks like it's okay. I'm going to grab my multimeter, and we're just going to go step by step. All right, so you can't see it, but I got these hooked up to the battery that my phone is resting on right now. So we're going to clip this to the positive here, into the negative here. Nothing happens when I touch it. Nothing going on there, so we're going to break it apart at this connection and probe it like an alien. 12.3. All right, so we know power is getting to the remote switch, which is right here. Hit the button. Nothing. Nothing. Okay. So what we want to do is probably going to need to replace the switch. So we got a new switch here, and we're just going to take it out of the case because the case is huge. Really all it does is keeps all of the connections from touching each other, but the way that we have it mounted in the watertight cylinder, there's not really a lot of opportunity for it to get hung up. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull the antenna wire out. This is the blue one. And as I've told you many times before, I'm kind of lazy. So what I want to do, because this is all soldered into the boat, it's got the proper Dean's connection with the proper length and everything. So all I'm going to do is take my trusty soldering gun, soldering torch, soldering pen. And this, by the way, you can get through the link on my favorite products page. And I've talked to you about this before. You can get the remote switch. You can get these soldering guns, all of this stuff. I have the links for on my website under Bob's Favorite Things, right on the top there. And when you buy one of those through those links, anything that you see on there, I get a little tiny commission. Helps us keep running here at the dry docks. So much appreciated when you guys take the time to run through there. So what I'm going to do, these heat up almost immediately. So rather than cutting the wires and splicing them together and all of that stuff, all I'm going to do is desolder the existing wires from the original board, take the new wires off the new board, and just solder the wires back on to the other one. All right, so this is the new board, and if you take a look here, you can see the big holes where everything was. We got our grounds, which share a common port here. We've got the power in, which is a red wire, and it's labeled on the board. And then we got power out, which is right in the middle, and it similarly is labeled. So you never need to worry about forgetting what wire goes where. So I'm just going to grab all of these, put them in the appropriate holes, and resolder them onto the new board. New board installed, hanging out here. So what I want to do is connect it to the bulkhead. Just like that. Grab my power leads, making sure I don't short them out. We got our positive and our negative. Just like that. And let's turn the radio on, just for fun. And we should hear a click when I push this button. So listen carefully, listen. I heard it. I heard it. This is not doing the things with the things. The radio's not doing anything. Cylinder's powered up. We got lights on the ESC. Oh boy, I hope the receiver's not shot. So, yeah, we got a red light on here, which is indicating it's got power but no signal. Keep these together. We got power coming in, power coming out, going to the ESC, and also running forward. It's all connected into the front. Now there should be a green light on the receiver to indicate that it's getting power, and I don't see anything. All right, I got to get in here, and we got to take a look and see what's up, why the receiver's not getting power. Okay, so I've got this taken apart. Unfortunately, this thing is heating up. I can feel it really hot right here. That is not a good sign at all, in the slightest. All right, I'm might gonna unplug all this stuff and see if we can diagnose this. I think I might have a Vex radio in the back. We'll see if we can power it up directly. I don't know. Well, we got a dead receiver. I took everything apart, labeled all the wires and everything first, powering it directly from a little battery pack with a servo in there. It's not lighting up. There should be a green LED that illuminates when this gets power, and it's not, and it's getting hot. So, not a good sign. I'm going to go see what I got for radios and receivers so I can put some options together for this customer. And I'm going to unplug that. That's getting toasty. And we'll see what we're going to do. Okay, so a couple of things. I called the customer because I just wanted to make sure everything was cool. That's not his radio. I got to get with my kid and find out what the hell that... If one of you sent a Polk Tracker 3 to me for some reason, let me know. I don't know where it comes from or what it does. But anyhow, he has a Vex, but he didn't send it with the cylinder. This receiver's pooched. It's heating up. It's not turning on. I had one of these that's been sitting on a shelf for forever in the background, languishing, dying. Just checked it, and sure enough, bingo. So this guy lucked out big time. Otherwise, we were going to talk about throwing a and we did talk about throwing a FreeSky 900 megahertz in there, but doesn't look like we need to. So all I need to do now is yank the receiver out of the test tube and hook everything back up again. Give it a test. All right, we're hooked back up again. Let's see what happens when we power everything on. So radio first, always. We have lights. We have twitching. No smoke. No fire. No heat. So far. Okay, one thing at a time. Rudder servo. Working. Bow plane servo. Working. Throttle. Boy, that's not moving very good. So I don't know if you can see that. We'll go full throttle. I loosened off the seal. It's not binding on the seal. That's weird. We got a Viper sub 10 in there. It's great. Should explode any second. Well, one thing at a time. All right, let's try channel 5, and we're going to see what this does. I don't even know what it's connected to. Okay, that's our ballast pump. Okay. Probably want to get rid of all this water in here for him. And then channel 6 is plugged into something, but... Oh, that's the stern plane override. Perfect. All right. So everything works with the exception of the throttle. Maybe what I'll do is I'll unplug that from the receiver, make sure that it's not a calibration issue, and then I'll use a servo tester and see what it does with that. Maybe this radio, this was just an old Vex that I had sitting on the shelf. Maybe the throttle set at like 5% or something. Yep, called it. Was set at 30%. I think this might have been a radio that we used with our old 212s with the brushless motors. We had to like pare it way down, otherwise they would jump out of the water and stuff. So let's see what it does now. Now we got it. All right. Boom! Shakalaka. Done. Tidy everything up, put it back together again, put it in a box, send them the bill. Last thing to do, purge the ballast tank. And for that, you need a highly specialized piece of equipment. Big yellow cup. Because I don't want this peeing all over my shop floor. Let's do final little testy majigger here. Power it up. And purge the tank. Wrong way. There we go. So this is actually a sealed tank. Now what I gotta do, I gotta prop up the back because that intake is on one end of the tank. So we'll use our multi-tester, which is really what this is designed for. And we'll prop up the back like that, and try again. That's sucking a lot of water, man. There we go. Nice empty tank. Now normally, if I were to have been shipped this with this water in, one of these sides would be all full of water because there's usually like a little hole, pinhole, that allows the pressure to equalize. So word to the wise, don't ever ship these cylinders with water in the ballast tank because it'll pee all over your tank, get it all wet, and it'll all be completely screwed up. All right, now that that project is out of here, except for the waybill and the invoicing and all the other stuff like that, I want to pluck away at this for the rest of the afternoon, which should be an hour or two. Need to make a little mounting bracket for waterproof servo, which is going to control the forward dive planes. Now, I talked about this in my last video. The angle system looks like something like this. It's all, got an internal motor that has some endpoint switches that controls where it's in and out and all of that stuff. I'm just going to simplify matters. I'm going to put this servo right here, like this, or maybe like this. I don't know, something like that. But I need to make a little bracket. I want to have the servo horn the same level as the linkage horns to simplify the whole linkage situation. And I want to try something new. I had some of this plastic. I think this is PVC. I had this laying in my parts bin. I hang on to all the kinds of plastics that I have. I want to see if I can heat it and bend it. Because when you cut things and glue things, you've got a weak part at the joint. So I just want to try this. We'll see if it'll work. And if it does, maybe you guys will have something else in your arsenal for brackets and such. So you can see I've already bent one side. So maybe I kind of spoiled it for you. But I'm just using my torch. And you don't want to get close because you'll singe it. So a little ways away. And this is a really dense plastic. It's not like Sintra board that is porous. So it takes a little while for that heat to work all of its way through the plastic to where it becomes to the point of its being malleable. So I'm just going to be patient here. I'm just going to heat it up and put a little force on it. Just keep working it until it starts folding over fairly easily. There we go. And you just push it so that it sits at 90 degrees. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to mist it with a little bit of water just to help that cooling process off. And then once it cools back to room temperature, it should maintain its shape because it's a thermoplastic. And it should be a bulletproof bracket for one side of the servo. Now, the problem is I've only got this much plastic, so it's only going to work on one side. So I might need to do something else for the other side. But, hey, for now, this is going to work, I think, pretty darn good. I just got to trim it, sand it, make it look beautiful. So we'll show you what it looks like in the end. Here's what we ended up with. Just the U-bracket. But that literally took me like 2 minutes to make. Well, maybe not 2 minutes. Maybe it took 5 minutes. No, it wasn't 5 minutes. Maybe it was 3.5 minutes. But this, I think I could definitely run over with my vehicle, and it would still look perfectly fine. So for a high-strength application, this could be viable for you guys. So just bear in mind that despite the fact that you may get a plastic in a certain shape, doesn't mean you need to leave it in that shape. So after all that bracketry, I decided not to do that because I'm lazy, like I told you before. So I just designed a bracket in 3D, and I have it on the printer right now. It'll be ready tomorrow. I got 2 of them, and I just wanted like a super precise fit, and it allowed me to do the contour of the boat and all sorts of stuff like that. So the beauty 3D printing is while those are printing, I can work on something else. A couple of things in the stern here. My previous idea, and I showed this to you before, was to use this to mount the servo. Now this turns out to be super mushy and bendy and not good. So I got to make a new bracket to mount the servo, that's what it is, right here. And now the other thing, I lubricated our rudders, and they're moving nice and easily now. But here's the issue. Do you see this misalignment thing here? And you see how it got worse? The lower rudder is completely like loose. Now I can't tell if that looseness is occurring on the horn inside, which I'm sure you guys can really easily see in this video. Hold on a second. There you go. So I don't know if the horn itself is loose, and all I need to do is torque down that little bolt there, or if the actual dive plane is broken free of the shaft. in which case we'll jump that hurdle when we get to it. So first order of business, I'm going to see if I can tighten down that bolt and see if that actually locks that lower rudder in place. Yeah, so it's broken free of the shaft. You can see my 800-foot long extension to reach all the way in the back there, which is what we needed to get to the bolt. But thanks God it was a big bolt, not a little set screw. So now we bust out the creative engineering solution to lock that rudder on the shaft. All right, weapon of choice. 7/64 drill bit. And what you need to do is eyeball with your eyeball units where that shaft comes down. And if we, there you go, yep, you see that? Yeah, right there. Draw a line parallel to the edge, about here. And we're going to sink a hole in there. And then I'm going to show you why. Okay, second weapon of choice. Super fast, thin cyanoacrylate glue. This is the stuff that is primarily used for gluing fingers together, but is also quite good for gluing precision fit parts. I use Starbond only because they approached me a little while ago and hooked me up with a bunch of this stuff. This is new. I gotta snip the tip. Anyhow, the other thing that you get when you get that stuff is this. This is a little flower majigger that allows you for some precision application of said finger gluing materials. It just goes on the end. And what we're going to do is we're going to stick it up here in the hole and put a drop. Now, what I did when I drilled this, I drilled it all the way until it bit into the stainless steel shaft. And the idea behind this is the CA will flow in there, wick down the gap between the resin and stainless steel shaft, and fuse it, refuse it to the resin part. Now, a little public service announcement to you from the dry docks. If you've had your bottle of glue for about 55 years and it's been sitting on the shelf slowly congealing into a pudding-like consistency, you're probably going to want to invest in a new bottle. The thinner this stuff is, the better. You want water-like consistency, so it's going to flow down the shaft. When your glue starts to congeal like that, it's time to move on. There's lots of stuff online for proper storage and use. Basically, keep it out of the humidity, keep it sealed, keep it cool. Keep it dark, like a mushroom. All right, let's give this a go. And I really wish I could use two hands to do this, but I gotta hold the camera for you guys. So we're just gonna put that right in the bottom. Give it a little inversion here. And the thing about it being clear is you should be able to see it flow. Oh, this is not gonna work. Always keep a rag close by. Good news is if you get it, you just wipe it. It's all good. And of course, we're going to make sure our alignment is perfect here as well. We totally did that before I just thought to mention it. So that totally worked perfectly. It's awesome. No problem. We'll move on to something else. Nope. I have a hunch maybe that the tolerance is just too tight for that glue to flow down. I tried drilling it in a little further. That didn't work. So it's still wiggly on the shaft. So time for plan, Tango, Uniform, Victor. This needs to be fused on there. And the way that this boat is assembled, you know, you put the rudder down and then you put the stabilizer on. So this is all locked in. You can't get access to it post-mortem. So we're going to need to make some new weapon of choice. This looks awfully deadly, like some Civil War medical instrument. Razor saw. Get yourself one. What I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this thing. I'm going to cut it on an angle like this so that we have maximum surface area to re-adhere this in. And what I want to do is remove this little lip right here. And the idea is once that lip is removed, the rudder can slip down. And I can remove the shaft from the inside by loosening that screw, pull everything out, and then really go to town on this thing. Yeah. You may be asking, Bob, why use a razor saw? My hacksaw works good, works faster. It's like it's called a razor saw because for a reason you only got like a 1/64th of an inch kerf. So now, pop this off. No bushings in there, just runs on the resin. I would typically put a bushing in there, be it a piece of brass tube or something like that. Yeah, it's just loose on the shaft. I don't know if you saw that. Just slipped it right off. Here. That's why we were having issues. So, I'll loosen out the screw, pull that shaft down, re-adhere it inside properly, and then we'll reattach it. So, got it out. That wasn't bad at all. I used my Extendo Magic 3000. Got that thing right out of there. So what you need to do is create a strong, boy, that's loose, super loose in there, is create a very strong positive bond in there. So we've already got a hole. I'm going to open that up again, but the other thing I'm going to do, I'm going to rough the snot out of this with my Dremel, my cutoff wheel, chew it all up, make it really rough, and then when we put a little bit of CA on there, when we push it in, it'll lock tighter than Alcatraz. And it'll never come off again. I absolutely have my safety glasses on. I just took them off before I put my head down here. Okay, rudder installed, torqued, ready to go, moving smooth, looking good, stylish. Awesome. Really good. Now we need to glue this back on. And we did lose a tiny little bit of material in there. So I'm just going to use a little bit of thick CA. Just a little gap filling stuff. We're going to glue that back on again, making sure that there's no interference here or here, and that bottom edge is lined up. And then this will be done other than the cosmetics. Let's talk bow thruster here real quick, and then power for this thing. So what I did, I found an old Viper Marine 10, and I think this was before the era of exploding ESCs from Mtronics. Woohoo! Of course, now it'll explode on me. But I connected that here. So like I said, we're going to try this. We're going to see how it works for a little bit. Put a little faith in the builder here. Got it hooked up to a servo tester, and I threw it onto power. We'll talk about that in a second. But this seems to work really good. So I can elect where to hook this up on our transmitter, be it like a stick or dial, or I mean even a switch for that matter if I wanted to. Lots of options with the radio. Other thing you can see here, got a little power pack. Now this is not a sealed lead acid battery. Mistakenly, I bought a 12-volt battery just because I always use 12 volts in all my boats and have for forever. This is a 6-volt system. Engel used to like to do that back in the day. These are Life batteries. I covered it up with tape. But lithium ferrous phosphate something, LiFePO4. 6.4 volts, 6 amp hours per battery. Now these are going to get rigged up in series, so this is going to be a 12 amp battery, which if I'm not mistaken is more than what the stock unit would have, and this is way lighter, like incredibly light compared to that, which means I'll have to do a little retrimming, but I would rather have to add weight than reduce weight. which will make things a little bit easier. So now all I got to do is hook this up to my power distribution block right here, and then that'll be getting power. Once we get our servo blocks, we can put our servo in the front, and then all of the extraneous stuff will be done. I'm just going to run a servo extension for the ESC back to the receiver. That's what it is. That's a receiver. And then we'll have control over the bow thruster. Coming along. It's a new day. Sunny out here and hot, as per usual. 8:30, so an hour and a half spent packing more orders. I miss Logan. And Jason said he can't help until like tomorrow at the earliest, so I'm just going to have to plug through on my own. But that's all done. Now we're back to Typhoon. New Typhoony parts. This is going to be the new servo mounts for the rudder servo. And these are the servo mounts for the waterproof servo up in the front for the bower tracks. This file I had all done already, so I'm just going to cut it in half so it'll be a single. One thing I wanted to mention about this particular design. So these linkages run through like a bushing on the inside there. If this shaft gets out of alignment in the slightest, you get tremendous binding. Don't like it. So I think what I might do, I might buck this off right here and add a little intermediate shaft so that it will take up the misalignments that may occur, especially because you guys need to remember when you have a servo like this, as this horn goes through its arc, the line begins up here and it might finish down here once it goes through 90 degrees of, well, not even 90 degrees, say like 60 degrees of arc. So it is going to be out of alignment by about a centimeter. That's not good. So that's why we might put a little intermediate shaft in there, so it'll take up that misalignment. And you can kind of see too, looking at it from the top, this is like at an angle, which isn't really a big deal, but just not ideal, right? So we're going to work on installing that, getting that all tested up, and then I'm going to rig up the forward bow plane stuff and see what we can make happen. All right, getting ready to mount this. So for the sake of simplicity, it's mounted to the bulkheads, and then I just glue it in place when I get it set properly. Now I want to make sure that these throws are equal, so I'm just going to measure from the base of the shaft there to the outer pin, and then the base to the outer pin. So it looks like it's got to go 0.5 millimeter forward. Right there. Don't move. Don't breathe. Glue it. It'll be done. And fully removable, fully serviceable. You know what? I changed my mind. I'm allowed. Changed my mind. Changed the orientation. Put this exactly in the middle. Did my measure. The way it's going to work, this is going to be out, like this. I got to move this so it's out a little further, like over this way-ish. Same thing on this side. There we go. Out more like this. And then this one connects to that. This one connects to that. And this center lines up here. So we got equal throw. The geometry is all correct. So now we just got to make up a little adjustable intermediate shaft. Actually, it doesn't even need to be adjustable because you can adjust it here a little bit. So just a shaft that's going to go bloop, bloop, like that, and bloop, bloop, like that. And then as that turns, it's going to push, it's going to extend, it's going to push, it's going to extend. So that is how that is going to work out. I'm going to do those shafts and then hook this up to a servo tester, and we'll see if this works. Okay, you can see I got one side in. I'm not going to show you. It works really good. I'm not going to show you yet. Don't spoil the surprise. But this, because you see, this is in fully extended, is at like about 40 degrees. This is fully extended, which is what I want. This is at like 90 degrees right now. I need to move it out. This is stripped. So that's a problem. I got to see maybe if I can get some pliers on there or something to try and get that loosened so I can replace it. Oh boy. Got her licked. There's the offending little sucker right there. Managed to just get pliers on the end of it and just twist it right out. Only took a half a twist and got it out. Now, I didn't have a replacement because this is metric. So I replaced it with a stainless bolt that threaded right in there. Little overkillish, but functional, which is the important thing. Stainless everywhere. This works really good. So it's on a servo tester here right now, so you can actually watch it work. Oh, I went too far. I went too far. Okay, fully extended to retracted. Now I could flop this around, you know, like it's flapping wings, but the beauty of the new radios is you actually just build the retract and extension speed into the transmitter. So if you're like, I don't really like how quick that's going, you just change it. You basically tell it how long you want that stroke to be, and it will automatically set the transmission of those control signals to the servo and make a nice stately in and out. The other cool thing is, and I haven't figured this out yet, but I know you can do it, you can have it so that it will lock out that function if the bow planes aren't level, which is what the bow track modules used to do. So pretty cool stuff. I think we're going to move on to the stern and get that rudder servo installed now. Okay, we took a little detour down power lane. So as I mentioned yesterday, pair of batteries, 6 volts, 6.6 amps, or 6.4, I don't know, something like that. What was it? 6 amps. In series. No, wait, in parallel. In parallel. So when you connect batteries in parallel, you connect the positives together and the negatives together, and you keep the same voltage, but you double the amps. So now this is a 6 volt, 12 amp battery. We've got our power leads out here, which are live. Got to make sure I touch those together, preferably on my skin. But what we need to do now is figure out a way to turn this thing on and off. So what I am going to end up doing is putting a switch in here. Now, normally I use remote on-off switches. And you guys have seen me use those before. They're super cool. They're rated to 15 amps. Now, I don't have the exact numbers, but one of the drawbacks of the Engel system is the piston tanks draw a lot of current. And when you would be, for example, running both piston tanks and the motors at full tilt, and maybe using the bow thruster for some weird reason, you could be sucking a lot of juice. And I don't want to blow the fuse. So, solution to that is a solid state switch. We're just going to use this little sucker right here. It's got a waterproof boot, and it just so happens there's a pre-made hole. So looking up front here, we got these holes left over from where the bow retract hardware was all sticking out. So I'm going to repurpose this one for the switch, and this just is going to pop right in there like that. It's the correct depth and everything. So now to turn it on and off, you just reach down, and there you go. Super simple. The other thing I need to do though first is get a fuse in here, because without one, if there's a short, it'll just melt the wires and cause a fire, which is pretty typical. So I'm gonna grab the fuse, get this. I'm gonna switch this battery around so the wires exit in that direction, and then run the power back to my power distribution block. And then in theory, when I flick the power on, everything will be powered up and I can start testing using my radio now instead of servo tester. All right, everything is rigged up. I got a little light here because I wanted to find out in which position the switch was on and off. So, bloop, the light comes on, bloop, light goes off. Because I wanted it where if you flick it up, power's on, up, on. So with that being all done, I need to, that's in place and that's smooth. I want to install the rubber boot, which is going to waterproof that switch. And there is a little seal on there, but it was really designed for like ultra super perfectly flat, steel panel installation. So I'm going to use a little RTV on the face there and then put it in, tight down, and that'll be done. Run the wires to the back into my power distribution block, and we'll set to go. All right, installation complete. Working good. We got rudderage. Could be able to turn if nothing else. Now you notice I didn't put an intermediate shaft in here, and what I decided to do for a couple of reasons is bump it down slightly. This is a metric shaft. You can see it's a little bit thicker on this side than it is on this side. So I went to a 3/32, and the reason I did that is so that it will have a little bit more slop in that bushing. Like I told you before, if you don't get that alignment perfect, you end up with a tremendous amount of binding, and we don't want that. So with a smaller shaft, just slightly smaller, like 0.5 millimeter, it's got more wiggle room inside. And because it's also slightly thinner, the shaft can bend a little bit more easily. So as that servo moves through its arc, the actual bend in the shaft is taking up that travel. So everything seems to be working really, really good. I'm just going to connect that to the receiver, and we're going to basically be at the point where I can fire this up for the first time and see what does and does not work. All right, I'm going to say it. We're ready to fire this thing up. Before I did that, I needed to remind myself how I set this transmitter up. So what I did is I went into outputs, which is super cool, and you got all of your outputs. You can see like your rudder inputs, forward dive planes, your throttles, and all of that fun stuff. Just a reminder, the stick controls both left and right motors, but if you wanted to do some fancy driving, maneuvering, you can control them individually with these pots. So you could do, in theory, like a stationary turn and all of that fun stuff. So what I did is I color-coded the switches. So I got our main ballast switch, our rear dive plane override. So this would be crash dive and emergency surface. The automatic pitch controller does the rest. And then up here is our bow retract. And that's basically what all those switches have ended up being allocated to. And these were a gift from Ed Torrell, my buddy sub Ed. They're like little switch condoms, all in different colors. So you just slip them over the switches, then you've got a quick and easy way to remember which does what where. So, no sense procrastinating any longer. This will be the fun part. Fire this thing up for the first time, routing everything through the receiver, see what happens, and hopefully everything works. Moment of truth, let's do it. Radio's powered on. And yeah! Okay. Interesting. So we have one piston tank fully retracted and one that looks fully extended. That sucks. Okay. So our 4 dive planes are working. Got to reduce the throw on those. Well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to pop this out and move it in. And we're going to move this over one because it's got way more throw down than up. Testing. Okay. So far, so good. Rudder's perfect. Throw is perfect on that. Got to reverse it. So you know what? I'm just going to do that right now. Rudder. Edit. Reverse. All right, got the rudder reversed. Motor's nice. I got to reverse both of those. So let's go ahead and do that. Nice. Feels like those need to get broken in a little bit. They might need a little bit of oil. All right, throttles, rudder. What about stern planes? Down, up. Nice. All right, what about this thing? So in theory, this should be 90% or neutral buoyancy. That's weird. I think this is incorrectly wired. I didn't wire it. It's not me. Damn it. Okay, I saw you saying those bow planes were all messed up. That was just because it overran the throw on the boat. I just tweaked that with the radio. Let's take a look at it now. I also put a little grease on here, a little 3-in-1 oil to lube everything up, make it work real good. So, gonna retract. Nice and stately. Extending. And there we go, and so all I need to do now is figure out why the forward piston tank is not behaving. Take a look at the wiring diagram again. Make sure that previous owner wired it correctly. Stern is working perfectly, as far as I can tell. It did the 90%. I've got control over the trim and fine tuning with the sliders on the radio. So all I need to do now, trace the wires, make sure that they're working. If not, it could be a bad piston tank or a bad controller, but we'll check it. Make sure all the wires are run to the right place, because that's where you start. All right, well, a couple minutes of tracing wires, which actually wasn't bad. Deceptively simple. So the only thing, everything looks like it's wired correctly. The only one that's incorrect is the bow tank. The stern one seems to be working correctly, so I haven't checked any of those wires. These ones go to the far side of the board, which correspond to 1, 2, and 3 on the T-Max board. Even though it's hidden underneath, I can still see them. They are plugged into the correct one. Now, the only thing I'm thinking, because this was acting opposite this one, is that he reversed the positive and the negative, so that the motor spins in the wrong direction when it thinks it's spinning in the right direction. So I am going to, if I can, nope, switch these around so that the motor spins in the opposite direction. This goes in, and then hopefully it behaves properly. Let's see if my diagnosis is correct. Okay, so things are going well. Got a lot of things sorted today. Forward planes are working perfectly. I just finished rebuilding all the linkages for the stern planes. They were just like the rudders. They were binding inside that bushing there, so I pulled out the old rod, replaced it with a thinner rod, got a lot more flexibility now, and they work perfect. Let's take a look. So now I've got an automatic pitch controller mounted in here, the old AD2. So in theory, if I lift this up, oh, there they go. Stern planes go up, down, down. And I can override that, crash dive, neutral, emergency surface. And that's all controllable from the transmitter. But this is going to be a problem. Not sure. What's wrong? Couldn't tell you. Good question. What I might do is disconnect these, just throw power on this, make sure that the motor is moving. When I first connected it, very first, it was maybe like right here, and then it cycled out to here. When I switched the polarity around, it didn't move at all. Didn't do anything. So that's not cool. Indicator lights are both yellow on it down there. So, I mean, this side's working perfectly. This one's not. I'm going to have to noodle on this for a little bit. But pretty happy with everything that we got done. Some of you astute individuals may have noticed the lead coming out of here. This is the LED lights. We're going to be putting some red, green, and white lights up in the conning tower. Those will come on with power and give you a visual indication of the state of the boat. I love this switch. Works out really good. I set all the fail-safe.
Telemetry lost.
Oh, thank you. On here, so that's all set to go. It'll stop yelling at me every time I turn the radio on. Man, this thing is like set-ish to go-ish, except for this thing. So we're gonna see what we can do. All right, maybe some of you angle gurus can help me out with this. So I manually cycled it back by just running power directly to the motor. I didn't bottom it out. Got to make sure you don't do that. So you can see that rod is sticking out right there. So I've got it jumpered right now to the terminals, just like it was properly connected. I just turned it on, and it came out a little bit and then stopped. And this one did the out and in. It's almost like this is refusing to retract. It'll only extend. So right now it's in surfaced condition. So if I hit dive, it's extending. The reason that took longer is because this one was partially extended to begin with. So now they're both in what is, in theory, neutral buoyancy. If I go back to surface, only the stern moves. And this doesn't react to anything anymore. So I double checked the sensor here. It's like a slider sensor, and it is connected properly. What I didn't check was that this arm is moving. Maybe I'll take a look at that. Yeah, so very strange. So you can see that arm is at the 50% mark, and this is the fine-tuning sensor that tells it where this piston is at. So right now it's at neutral buoyancy, and you can adjust it using the left-hand stick on a transmitter. And this one is at the same spot, right in the middle. But again, when I go to surface, only the one side retracts. Well, happy Friday, everyone. Haven't tested it yet. Maybe you'll power this thing up and see if it magically fixed itself. Jason's going to be coming over about 9:30, 10 o'clock to help me move some stuff around and get some stuff done. So that's super cool. Got one quick order to ship out here. And then it'll be on to building boats. Get today started. Yeah, I put it back into surface buoyancy. And this one retracted and this one just stopped. It's like it won't go backwards. I don't think it's the Hall effect sensor. And this is just a motor with some switches and, you know, that Hall or the position sensor in there. So I don't think it's this. I think it might actually just be the board. So we're going to do the right thing and completely ignore it and hope it fixes itself and move on to other stuff. We'll put some lights in the conning tower, mount our sonar transducer in the bow, and see if a random solution presents itself in the interim. Progressives. A couple of things. I never did show you the bow thrusters working, which you can't really see, but you can hear. And I got the lights done. So let's take a look at that. I got the radio on. There we go. So we got LED lights, nice bright LED lights. Port starboard. And in the stern of the sail up there. And then we've got the bow thruster, and the way I've got this rigged up is on channel 10, but I got it configured on the left stick. So you got your main throttles, and then you've got your bow thruster if you really want to spin around. Now I don't know if you guys are familiar with these bow thrusters. I believe these are Robosch products. But basically it's a paddle inside, and I can actually show you, I think. So that's the bow thruster passage right there, and if I kick it on, you can see it spinning, and it just basically paddles from the top and pushes the water that way, or paddles from the top and pushes the water that way. Pretty cool. Not as efficient as, you know, like an internally mounted propeller, but certainly more than enough for this particular boat. As of right now, the lights are all done. The other stuff we got to work on here, I don't like these seals. They're kind of goofy looking, if I'm honest with you. They're pretty random, and they got some glue on there, and they're a little hard. I have more OEM angle seal material, or we can go with a foam tape. And I kind of like the foam tape. It gives a nice big surface area. It's worked well for me in the past. This is not going to be a boat that the customer is going to dive to 6 feet or 8 feet or 10 feet deep, so the pressure is not going to be massive. 1 meter, 3 feet, something like that. The pressure is not going to be so excessive it would overcome that particular seal. Of course, having said that, it does pressure up a lot from the inside. We'll see. I got the angle stuff. Maybe we'll go with the angle stuff. But I got to go with new seals. And the other thing we need to do is test this pressure compartment and make sure that it holds pressure. Obviously, that's a big thing. Got kind of an interesting bead of material in here. In the past, you guys know I've run into problems with people not installing these waterproof boxes properly according to Engel's instructions. So that is something we got to check out. But other than that, everything is functional with the exception of that one piston tank. I'm going to go and see if I've got another T-Max board, in which case I may just hook up the one piston tank, see if that works, and if it does, I'll just swap it out, hook up the other one, and we'll be off to the races. Next thing I think I'm going to do, though, before I do that, I'm going to drill a hole in the bow for our sonar transducer, mount it thusly, and that will be ready to go, because that is obviously going to form part of the buoyancy and weight equation for the boat. So we're going to make sure it's mounted when we start doing all our trimming. Let's see if I can drop my phone in the garbage that my phone's resting on. Weapon of choice, 1.5263785 inch diameter hole saw. Piloted a little hole up here. Gonna match it up. Let her rip. Are you okay? Can you see me? Did it. Crushed it. So looking from the side, no hole, no hole, no hole, no hole, no hole, no little hole. So, I mean, unless you're under the boat, you're never going to see it. I also piloted another hole back here. And there's a reason. Always a reason. This whole front section is free flooding. And the only drain holes that were in there previously were these little baby holes. Which means you'd put it in the water, it would take about a minute to fill up with water. Not good. Now, of course, we got a nice big hole there, but it's a little higher than back here. So I'm going to put a smaller hole, maybe a half-inch hole back here. And then we got the same situation going on back here. So drill some drainage holes, and then, of course, in the top, we need vent holes for air. The only ones that are in here right now are here, here, and here. And then, of course, here. But there's nothing in this whole bow section to let trapped air get out. So get to poke holes in this beautiful hull. You guys have all done this before too. Drill a hole with a hole saw, and you got to spend 10 minutes after every hole trying to get the plug out. Why don't they have a better? They probably do have a better one. If you have a better hole saw, if you know of one, let me know. Oh man, this is a pain in the butt. It takes longer to get that out than it does to drill the hole. Alright, so this is what this whole situation looks like. I extracted the main gasket here just by... And you can see he was using thin CA, which is fine, to glue it in. But now we need to clean all of this up. We need a smooth interface on the bottom here to make sure that this gasket that we're going to be installing, and I told you I had a lot. Look at this. Over the years, you get some stuff built up. But now I got to go around and get my blade under the CA and just above that gel coat layer and clean all this up. For the big one, whoa! Stab my toe. And also for these small sections. Yeah, this, I don't know if this was the stock gasket or if he got new stuff. This is really hard. Like really hard. So, and go about cleaning all this up and installing some new fresh stuff. And by the way, I did check to see if I had a new T-Max board here. I don't, but I might have one in storage. It's pouring down rain outside. I don't know if I feel like going to storage today. It's like 8 minutes away. I know, you guys are like, suck it up. But I've got lots to keep me busy anyway. So it might be the kind of thing I just run to over the weekend, so that I'll be set to go when we get back. Other thing I wanted to point out on this, since we're talking about this, if you take a look at this, when you expand these holes, you know, to make them bigger, better access, Engel lines these with steel. So just be prepared if you're going to cut these off. You're probably going to need a big, you know, cut-off wheel on an angle grinder or something like that, because there is some significant steel. Actually, you can see it right there. You see that bar? Right there. Right there. All the way down. Makes these things pretty bulletproof, but you can see that, you know, the old opening was super small, like super small. This is so much better. You know, if I needed to extract this, I could do it now. Whereas previously, it's more like you install everything and then put the dry compartment on. What a nightmare. You can imagine trying to get your hand way up in the front of the boat, you know, to replace the pressure switch, you know. Yikes! Hey, look who's here!
Hey, oh!
Jason's back. He had a little free time and decided to help me out since Logan abandoned me.
Traitor.
So he's working on trying to strip out the seal material on the top of the Typhoon there. And I'm working on my custom bent bracketry for the sonar transmutator. The idea being it's just going to sit here kind of like this, and then this is going to sit here like this, and that's it. Just finished running to storage. I do not have another T-Max board, and that sucks. Now I got to try and troubleshoot. So this isn't working.
Oh, the pumps?
It kind of works, but it only works in one direction.
Well, that's no bueno.
So we're going to work on this for a little bit, and then we're going to move inside and do some reorganizational stuff. But maybe, actually, before I forget, there are some boats that I'm putting up on sale, and I want to show you. You've seen them before, but we'll show them to you here. All right, you guys have seen this before. This is that super cool water spouting Gato class submarine. Looks absolutely amazing. I just knocked $1,000 off it, so it's on sale in the bargain bin on my website. And then upstairs, I got 3 more. We're going to grab those in a little bit, bring them down, and we'll show them to you here as well. No, I'm not bringing it down. I am too lazy. Big upholder, 50th scale, OTW. Working torpedo shutters, working periscopes, lifting little dudes up and down, OTW cylinder, Radiolink radio. Super awesome. Originally built Mike Martin, and I got it from Vaughn. What do you think, Gracie? Is that a good boat? Should they buy it? So that should hopefully be on the site later today. I teased it in my newsletter a little while ago. And then the other 2 we got here are 2 Small World models, Kilo and Blueback. The idea is they share a cylinder. Blueback's basically set up, ready to go, right there. And Kilo is mostly built, painted, and ready to go. It's got the radio and everything. Cylinders inside the Blueback. So that'll be listed as well. And I got a couple of cylinders here too. I forgot about these. I don't know if I'll have these listed by the time, but if you're looking for a cylinder, these will probably be about $600 a piece. I think this one is set up. Yeah, dual shaft. That's for like the ARC model. Brand new MSD cylinder. Look at that. Okay, we got updates. Not awesomeness for the Typhoon, right?
Yeah, I had
Let's
pump
take a look.
issues.
So we pulled the piston tank out because I wanted to get access to all the limit switches. Both the limit switches appear to be functional. Like if I depress this one when it's not supposed to be, it'll actually retract. So I know that that switch is functional, and then this one also does funky things when I push it. This stern piston tank responds to the trim commands from the transmitter, but this doesn't. This one only responds to the main flood command.
And then it only retracts halfway.
Yeah. And then we thought we had the smoking gun because these wires didn't look like they were seated properly, right?
Yeah. But got in there with the little stats, and they're in there good.
Why
Tighten down.
is that flashing? How the heck is that getting power?
I don't know. This one is too. They both are.
What the heck? Because the power comes from here to the switch. And the switch is turned off, I think. Is it? Yeah. Oh, man.
It's getting power somewhere.
You know what? I'm just going to leave this off because I'm not going to mess with it anymore today. Anyhow, badness. I just remembered I have, I think from that one Typhoon kit that I had years and years ago, the guts for it sitting up on a shelf in storage. So we're going to go check that. The other thing we got going on is the 2-on-2. So if you guys remember from last week's video, Howard broke his boat. This is what I built for it. This little ring. Now I've cut it to get it on here. This is just printed in resin right now. And I wanted to check the fitment. Fitment is good. I checked it inside the boat. It interfaces with the tabs, so that's all working really good. Put it in place, checked the tolerance forward and back, and that matches up here. So I think we have a winner. What I got to do now is just pull this out. You can see how I designed this. So there's this flange that'll fit in. So there's tons of surface area in here to glue and adhere to the back. See, it slips in like that. So, need to send this out for commercial SLS nylon printing. Super, ultra, excellent, strong stuff. And then we'll get it in there. So that's looking good. Maybe I'll get that done. And then we got battle boat work. I'm kind of tired of battle boat, but I gotta sink my teeth. I can't even remember how to put the thing together again. Oh, hey, forgot to mention, got the new gaskets on. They're looking good. Much softer. I think those are gonna work a lot better, and they're not like everywhere. And busted out the Nautilus kit. This is going to be the basis of our first display model production version that we make all of our video step-by-step instructions on. So coming weeks, that's going to get knocked out. Hope to get this done as soon as possible. But of course, all you know, lots going on. We're going to do the best we can. Thanks for your patience. We have strategies. It's all good. I don't know. I'm feeling like I want to end things now. Just work on the video and call it a week. You good with that?
Sounds good to me.
All right. We're here for the outro now. So yeah, that's what wraps up this week at the Nautilus Dry Docks. I think you're going to see Jason next week, right?
Yep, I'll be here.
You're going to come back in. We're going to knock out some super awesome stuff. If you guys have thoughts about that Typhoon, please let me know. I'd sure love to know. Don't forget about those other boats that I talked about, the Upholder, the Kilo, the Blueback, the Gato. I want those out of here, and I'll make you a good deal, within reason. But I guess with that, as always, we'll leave you with a couple of videos, one here and one here, for you to take your YouTube journey to the next level. On behalf of Bob and
Jason,
have a great rest of your week, and we will catch you next time.